joining me for Beginner Pilates today. Great, so we'll start with our feet on the mat as we always do, standing as tall as we can, lifting up and out of our pelvis, pulling the space between our vertebrae even greater with each breath, and then let's roll down. Breathing in at the floor, rolling up. So today is going to be a nice, gentle class, suitable for beginners, but also suitable for everyone. Don't need any props, so just you and a smile and we're good to go. When we're rolling down, you want to really pull that tummy into your spine. We're going to pause at the floor here, resting the fingertips on the mat. You're just going to bend your knees as much as you can and then slowly straighten them up a little bit, not all the way. Bend the knees, fingers resting on the floor, and stretch the legs. So I'm not stretching my legs all the way. Just a little bit of a wake up for the old hamstrings this morning. Bend, stretch, bend, stretch. So I've got my knees bent enough that I can rest my chest on my thighs. We'll do 3 more times. 1, 2, and last one. We'll keep the legs bent here. Really pull that tummy in as we roll up. Knees will stay bent all the way up to the top. Arms out to the side, give yourself a second to let the blood go back down where it should be, and then we'll move into some side bends. So breathing in to tilt, breathing out, up, in, over, out, up. That's a nice gentle stretch, same 3 exercises we always do. Lovely. Just waking up our bodies. We want to try not to change the weight on each of our feet too much in this exercise. Try and keep it evenly distributed on both. And we'll do 1 more to each side. And then coming back up through center, turning those palms to face the roof. Bend the knees. It's important that the knees stay over the toes. They're not going towards each other here, and moving in to that double rotation. Just working on keeping the bottom half of the body nice and still. So what I see a lot in clients, what I used to see when I actually saw people, is that they would, to get more of a range, they would end up twisting their whole body, and then all of the, the effort and the, I don't know what the word is, but the pressure goes onto the joints like that. So let's bend the knees. That's why we bend the knees, so we can protect our knee and ankle joints. And then we can concentrate on our obliques, making this movement. And then we just try and keep the shoulders down as always. And then the next one will be the last one. Yes. All right, give those shoulders a bit of a roll. So we're going to take the feet a little bit wider. We'll turn the hips out. So a little bit of a quick warm up for the legs. And we're going to take the hands on the hips. So we're going to bend the knees. We're sliding our spine down the wall, the imaginary wall behind us. And the knees are going out over your toes. And then we're going to press all the way up. I want you to try and get those kneecaps lifted and your quads contracted and your glutes wrapping around. Bend, stretching the inner thighs, and then pull up, wrap the glutes around, pull up the kneecaps, nice strong quads. Bend, and pulling up, that's it. Try not to lean forward. If you feel really tight in your inner thighs, that's what's going to happen. You're going to lean forward like this because it's easier and it's less of a stretch. Let's try not to. So if you only get to there, then that's where you get to. That's totally fine. Knees over those toes. Hooray! So just while we're here talking about things. Remember, if anything happens and you need to get in touch with me during class, just use the live chat function. I've got a separate little screen down here that is easier for me to see than that one. So if something happens, my mic breaks or something, just let me know via the chat. We'll do 3 more times. 3 and 2 and last 1. You're staying nice and low here. So we're going to do little pulses. They're really small. Try not to rest your hands on your legs. Actually, let's just take them forward, so we can really concentrate on our core. It's going to keep us upright. Our quads will be handling most of the heavy lifting in this exercise. Let's take them out, arms, and back to the front. Take them out, back to the front. So little pulses, moving the arms, building some body heat. That's the way. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Good morning, quads. Let's come all the way up. Give the legs a little bit of a shake. And we'll do a quick little single leg balance before we hop down to the floor. So we're going to start, actually we'll just do double leg first in case. Hands on hips for this one. Like I mentioned before, pulling up those kneecaps, contracting the quads, legs are straight, but they're not hyperextended. Tucking the pelvis under, you're going to rise up, and we're just holding at the top here. So you're up as high as you can, lower down, lightly tap the heels, rising up. So keeping the weight forward is going to definitely help with your balance. If you send your weight back onto your heels each time, you're going to find it a little bit more difficult, especially when we get into the single leg balance. That's enough of a warm-up. We're going to go straight into a single leg. So if you are worried about this, just move over to a wall, hold onto a chair or whatever you've got there beside you, and I'm sure you'll feel better about your balance. Okay, so taking the weight forward onto the ball of your foot, we're going to slowly peel up as high as we can, and then we're going to lower down to the mat. Hopefully you had a better outcome than I just did. So we rise up, lower, up, lower, keeping the weight forward, lower, 4, 3, 2, and 1, and lower it down, give the leg a bit of a shake. Other side. So grab onto your wall or chair or whatever. Oh, you could use the roller for balance there if you wanted to. Okay. Ooh. Important to get your balance first, so you've got no chance. Strong core, body weight forward. Let's rise up and tap. Rise up, tap. I can feel my toes popping up and down. Good to get those cracks out this time of the morning. 4, 3, 2, and 1. And give your leg a little bit of a shake. Hooray! And that's all we're doing standing. Let's make our way down to the floor. So let's cross one leg behind the other, hands out in front. We're going to lower down to the mat without using our hands. So nice and slow. Stick your butt back, lean your chest forward. Try not to use your hands unless you need to. Lowering carefully down to the floor. Sitting up as tall as you can, slide those shoulder blades down. We lift up and out of the pelvis as always. Your feet are far enough away from you that you can sit up straight. If they're too close, you're going to be like that. So adjust it as you need to. Arms up and reach them forward. So as you take your arms up, I want you to actively slide your shoulder blades down towards your back pockets. So you'll feel them moving around a little bit, but we certainly don't want to elevate the shoulders as we take the arms up. Good. And most of us who sit at a desk every day, or not even sitting at a desk, just most of us in real life, will experience some kind of neck pain at some stage. Quite often it's just to do with overuse of the upper traps, the muscles in your neck. So if we train our bodies to use the muscles in our mid-back and around our shoulder blades, we're much less likely to suffer that kind of pain. That's why I harp on about it all the time. Let's leave those arms reaching forward, sit up even taller. We're going to lean back, so straight spine. We're going to lean back to about there, so it's not too far. And then we're just going to sit straight back up again. So no rounding of the spine, just try and keep it straight is the word I'm looking for. Sit back and sit tall. That's it. Sit back, keep those feet planted. Sit tall. Lovely. Okay, a little bit harder for the next one. We're going to take the arms up, keep those shoulders down. We'll do the same thing. It's going to be harder. So we don't have any, either of our arms counterbalancing that weight. Leaning back, sitting tall. Leaning back, sitting tall. We're going to do just 3 more times. 3, 2, and 1. Let's flop forward over your thighs, just resting your hands on your feet, giving your back a little bit of a stretch. We're going to sit up tall again, straightening out the legs this time. And I'm going to reach my hands forward, so my palms are facing towards each other, leaving the knees bent if it's not quite possible for you to sit up straight here. And let's twist, open to the front, back to center. Stay lifted as we twist open to the back, back to center. Remember, please bend your knees if your spine is not tall. If you're feeling like this, it's way, way better to bend those knees. And we're trying to twist open as much as we can. That's the way. And then we're going to roll down to the mat. So I'm going to leave the feet exactly where they are. I'm going to go really slowly, rounding the back. Keep those shoulders away from the ears. See how I've come to a C-curve position first. So a C-curve means from my shoulder down to my sit bones is like a C. I haven't leant back. It's literally just there. So that's, I often talk about a C-curve. So that's what I mean when we get to that anyway. Let's roll down, shoulders away from the ears. Feel the feet pulling towards you. Leave them on the ground. Rolling down nice and smooth. We're going to take the hands behind the head and then step the feet in to a neutral position. So we want to find that, actually let's take the hands by our side to find our neutral. Small gap under the lower back, hips, knees and ankles are aligned. Drawing those ribs towards each other, knitting them together down towards the belly button. Melt the shoulders open. Hands behind the head and just watch that those ribs don't change here. Chest lift, keeping the head supported. Breathing in as we release. Chest lift. And lower. With these Pilates style chest lifts, as you probably already all know, we're not crunching anything, we're not at the gym. We want to shorten the distance between the top of the pelvis, bottom of the ribs, trying to keep the pelvis nice and stable as we do these chest lifts. You're not yanking on the back of your head. Five, 4, 3, 2, we'll hold the last one, and holding here. We're going to release our hands so they're reaching down towards the bottom of the mat. Lift a tiny bit higher, keep that chin knotted. We're going to take the arms behind, bring them forward. Take them behind, bring them forward. That's it. Behind and forward. So we want to lift up high enough so that the base of the shoulder blades is literally just tipping the mat. So this is a hard exercise. If the neck starts to get a bit icky, just place one hand behind your head. This will be the last one. Then we'll place the hands back behind our head and release down to the mat. Shuffle the feet and knees together. You're going to let your knees fall all the way over towards the front. Once you're there, just try and sink your opposite shoulder back down into the mat. And if your knees are not totally lined up on top of one another, don't worry too much about that. All right, so connecting through the core, let's chest lift and lower back down. So we're trying to stay straight with our head and chest so we can work on these obliques. It's going to feel really different to what we just did. And we'll do 5 more. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Good, release down to the mat, legs back through center. Take them to the other side. Find your kind of like a lower back stretch here, which is good. And when you're ready, we'll continue with these chest lifts. Good, 5 more times. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Back to center. Let's bring those legs back in. We'll realign ourselves back to our neutral position. Hands behind the head still. Straightening out that front leg. We're going to lift the leg up so that maybe it's 90 degrees, but maybe it's not quite 90 degrees, and lower it down. So we lift and lower. What I want you to think about while we're doing these leg lifts is whether your pelvis is changing. So we don't want, when you lift the leg, to press that lower back into the mat by moving the pelvis. Try and keep your tailbone heavy. This is why you might not quite get your leg as high as you would like. Let's add the head and chest in. So as we lift the leg, we're going to lift the head and chest. We end up back down on the mat, lifting up and carefully lower. So I want you to try and flatten out your tummy as you lift the leg, lift the head and chest. That's it. And I know that our lower back, we probably are going to feel a pressure change under the lower back here. That's fine. Just still concentrate on trying to keep that pelvis nice and stable. This is the last one, and we'll swap sides. All right. Back to neutral. Straightening out your other leg. Just make sure your alignment is good before you start. Starting with just the leg. Lower it down. So it's not a kick. It's very much a controlled lift. That's good. All right, let's add the head and chest in. Up we come. Lower down and lift down. Just having a little mental check-in with yourself, whether this side is easier or harder than the other. Maybe your hamstring is less tight on this side, or maybe it's more tight. Always just good to notice these things. Just 2 more times. 2 and 1. Very nice. Bring that foot back in. Take your hands down by your side. Take a second to melt your shoulders down into the mat. And if you are a serial gripper of the mat with your hands, it's just best to turn them over to face the roof and you're less likely to grip the floor. Okay, moving into some pelvic curls, but we're starting with some tilts. So we're just going to rock our pelvis forward and back, getting a bit of movement under that lower back there. Don't be afraid of your full movement. It feels good to move the back around. But of course, if you have a sore back, it may not feel good. So you're just working within your restrictions. Let's continue to peel up into a pelvic curl. So each vertebra is going to have its time. So we peel one at a time up into a bridge, and then we sink down one bone at a time all the way back to neutral. Pressing that lower back down into the floor, peeling up. Breathing in here, rolling down, back to center. Up we come, pressing the weight down into your feet. Activate those hamstrings. Rolling down, bone by bone. Very nice. Couple more. And this can be the last one. Rolling down, back to neutral. Let's lift our front leg closest to the camera up into tabletop. I'm going to do a few toe taps here, then we're going to get the head and chest going. So that's the movement of the leg. Only joint that is currently moving is my hip joint. Knee is at a right angle. I'm going to take the hands behind the head. Sorry, not behind the head, onto the floor. And as we lift the knee, so I'm going to pause at the floor here. As we lift the knee, we're going to lift into a chest lift. And then as we go back down, we'll tap the toe. Nice and easy. Same principle applies as what we were doing before. So we want to try and keep the pelvis nice and stable. We're going to have a go at this with two legs as well. So I'm just getting you prepped, because it's much harder with two legs, as you can imagine, as you probably already know. Next one, we'll swap. So let's actually swap here. So place that foot down, lift the knee, other knee. Now we head down to the mat, tap the toe, lift up into tabletop. Or ish, doesn't have to be perfect tabletop. As we lift, really pull your tummy to your spine. That's great. Let's do two more, and then we'll have a go with both legs. One. Remember just to go back to this exercise if you're not up for two legs today. Okay, so pressing that lower back into the floor, we're going to lift one, then the other into tabletop. We're going to start with just the legs, and then we'll move into the head and chest as well. So I'm just going to bring my arms forward while we do the lower half of the body, and then we'll get them going. So I'm squeezing my knees together. I'm really driving my lower back down into the mat. I'm going to go for a halfway tap, so not even all the way, and then lifting back to tabletop. Halfway down and back up. If you're feeling strong, by all means, tap the floor and lift. Tap the floor and lift. Really trying to connect your entire spine to the floor or to the mat. So we got the idea with the legs. We know what to do with the arms. So tap the toes. As we lift the knees up, we lift the head and chest. Remember, if you just want to go halfway with the toes, that's good. It's still very much a challenge. Tap and lift. Just watch that when we head down to the mat here, you're not allowing any part of your spine to leave the mat. That's your lower back and your upper back. It can happen in two areas. Really drive the spine down into the floor. I know it's hard. We're doing 4 more. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Good. Grab onto those knees, pull them in towards your armpits, and relax the head back down to the mat, giving yourself a little bit of a cuddle here. Definitely got some body heat in those abdominals, which is good. Let's keep hold of our back knee, and you're going to send your other leg nice and long. So this is just a nice way to open up your hips. You want to pull your knee towards your armpit or towards your collarbone. I'm just going to move it around a bit, trying to press the back of my other leg down into the floor. And if you're feeling tight like I am through my hip flexors, you actually feel a bit of a stretch down the front of your leg, only if you're really tight there though, which I seem to be eternally tight in my hip flexors. Let's do the other side. Just bringing that leg in, pulling it up towards your armpit, moving it around. All right. I'm going to do a few leg circles. So we've got this leg lifted already, so we're just going to leave it there. We're going to take our arms out to the side, and then we're going to straighten, or almost straighten, this leg up to the roof. So it's a hard position to hold here. If your leg is a little bit lower, then that's absolutely fine, and it can be also a little bit bent. I'm going to allow, first of all, I'm going to shift away from the wall. I'm going to allow my pelvis to tilt as I take my leg basically almost all the way to the floor. I'm going to scoot the leg down around. My pelvis is going to be stable here as I bring it back up. So that was a super slow-mo. Let's do one more super slow-mo. Across, just about find the floor, swoop it around. Pelvis stays stable as we come up. Let's get a bit of pace for the next 3. The arms are there for support. Nice. So much harder than it looks. Let's go back the other way. We open the hip up. We keep the pelvis stable. We swoop it around. Then we allow the pelvis to twist as it comes up. Slowly again. Open, around, and up. A little bit faster for these last 3. 1, 2, and 3. Good. Taking your leg all the way down to the mat. Having a little bit of a wobble. We're going to do the same to the other side. So let's get this leg up. Really strong through your core is going to help you out here. We're going to slowly cross it over, finding the floor, swooping the leg down, swing it around and up. Again, quite slowly. Find the floor, swoop it around and up. A little bit more pace for these last 3. 1, 2, and 3, and pausing here. Slowly opening the leg up, opening the hip, stretching the inner thigh, swoop it around, cross and up. Nice and slow for the next one. Open it around and up. So we've got 3 more. 1 with a bit of pace. 2 and 3. And I am always amazed at how hard leg circles are all the time, even if you've been doing this for a long time. I'm just going to scoot back onto my mat. I'm going to join the soles of my feet together here and just let the knees fall open, maybe having a little bit of a wobble. And then we're going to turn over onto our side. in a minute, once we're satisfied that our hips feel good. And then let's turn over. So we are going to come up onto our elbow like so. So I'm not going to make you do a side plank. Don't worry about that, but we're just going to do some hip lifts. So if you don't have a squishy mat and your elbow gets sore, yeah, just put a pillow or something or a towel underneath. That's probably my only little hack. Keeping the shoulder down so that it doesn't creep up like that, and then that compromises the strength and puts a little bit of unnecessary pressure onto your shoulders. So lift, using your lats to draw the shoulder blade down, lifting here underneath your ribs, obviously we're keeping our core nice and strong. This hand just on our hip. So we're just going to lift our hips up off the ground and then lower straight back down. I'm going to lift up and lower. That's it. Remember, you don't have to lift very high. 1 millimeter is fine. And even if you're not lifting at all, you can just push into the floor with your elbow and sort of imagine that you're lifting, and then you'll still get a little bit of the right muscles there. It's a good way to modify it. I'm going to take this hand and bring it in to the equation now. So I'm going to reach it overhead and then bring it back down. Reaching it overhead, bring it back down. If you're not a beginner but you're joining this class anyway and you would like to do something a little bit more challenging, we can extend that underneath leg like so, or of course you can do it in a full side plank if you want. So that's up to you. I'll continue with this because it's a beginner class. Oh, get that arm going. And we'll do 3, 2, and last one. Nice. Tuck those feet in nice and close, reaching up and enjoying the side stretch. How good are side stretches? I love them so much. We definitely don't do enough of them in real life. Let's do the other side. So let's get set up. Same as the other side. Watch that shoulder doesn't creep up. Lift under those ribs. Core is nice and strong as always. When we're ready, up and lower. If you're looking for an extra challenge, remember that's what the legs are doing, or you can be in a full side plank. Let's get those arms going. Lift, lower, lifting, lowering. Making another little mental note as to which side feels easier, which shoulder feels better. Let's do 3 more times. 3, 2, and 1. Very nice. Tucking those feet in, lifting up for a stretch. And let's scoot all the way down onto our tummies here. So we're going to take the hands underneath the head like so, resting your forehead onto your hands. The find our neutral spine when we're lying like this. See how I'm not really doing anything and there's a big curve in my lower back, but if I press my pubic bone into the mat, I'm flattening out that curve a little bit and making it more neutral. I'm sliding those shoulder blades down my back. I'm going to lift my front leg. For me, it's my right leg. Might be different for you. We can lift and lower. Same leg, right leg lift and lower. So while I do these leg lifts, I'm trying not to let it affect my pelvis. If I forget about my pelvis and not do any control, look what happens to my back. It moves around. I actually feel like the effort is in my lower back when, if I'm set up correctly, the effort is in my hamstring and in my glute. So it's not about how high you can get your leg. It's just about using the right muscles and not putting unnecessary pressure on the wrong ones. Seems straightforward until you try it. 5, 4, this is all on the same leg. 3, we'll hold the last one, 2, and here we're going to bend the knee, so my knee is lifted up to the mat. I'm going to lift a little higher and lower, but not all the way. Lift, lower. Still trying to press that pubic bone into the mat. It's much harder here. But protecting your lower back is definitely the main goal here. It's hamstrings. For me, flexing the foot, I can activate those muscles a bit better, but of course, if you didn't want to flex the foot, go for it, doesn't matter. 2 and 1. Bring down, straighten out your leg, other side. Reset the body. Lift, straight leg, and lower. Left leg lifts, lower. Just keeping, I know you probably need to look at the screen a few times, but just try and rest your forehead on your hands. I'll definitely let you know when we move on or if something changes. Remember to try and keep that pubic bone pressing into the floor. Focus is in the glute and in the hamstrings. We'll do 4, 3, we're going to hold the last one, 2, and hold. The leg is lifted, bend the knee, flex the foot. We're going to press up a little higher and lower, but not all the way. Press up, lower, much harder to keep that lower back out of the equation. I mean, it's not out of the equation completely, but focusing as much as we can, glute, hammy. And 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Lower, down, straighten out, have a little wobble side to side. Mini back extension today. If we can, we're going to keep our hands attached to our forehead, but if you need to, leaving the elbows attached to the mat. Pubic bone into the mat, tummy to spine. Shoulders down. We're going to lift the upper body and lower. Lift, lower. So if you prefer to leave your hands on the floor, you do you. We're just about at the end. Left a little bit of time for a quick plank. We'll be done with this back extension in 5 more reps. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Good. Let's do our plank straight away, and we'll do a back stretch at the end. So today I'm going to be up on my arms, on my wrists, but you know, if you need to be down on your elbows, then please do that. You can take one toe to the back of the mat. Make sure you're pushing the floor away. Those shoulder blades are drawing down. Squeeze the glute as you lift your other leg into a plank. At any time, either lowering one knee or both knees back down to the mat. I think one knee is a good little compromise. You can bring it in at any time, whenever you need the break. Or you can just hold if you're feeling strong. Just watch that nobody's doing this. This is a terrible plank. We don't want that at all. Nice. We're running out of time, so we can't stay here forever, but we are going to do 10 more seconds. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Bring those knees in, sit back on the heels, stretch the spine. This is definitely the best part of any class, isn't it? And then we're going to roll up, and we'll step up one leg at a time, up onto our feet. And we're bang on time for our roll downs. We're just a little bit over, that's all right. Standing tall, rolling down. Finding the mat, breathing in, rolling up. Comparing notes as to how you felt when we started and how you're feeling now, 40 minutes later. And this is your last one. Pulling your tummy in, rolling up. Nice big breath at the end. And we're all done. Thank you for joining me today. I hope you have a lovely day and I'll see you again soon. Okay, bye everyone.